Hello everyone, I am now going to begin using this calculator that I mentioned earlier, and in order to do that I will be doing the following steps. First, to begin, I am going to reset the calculator by pressing this button, which is second and the 0 key that says reset. It asks me, are you going to do it, yes or no? I say yes and press 2, and it clears the memory. What does that mean? That all the calculations I had done previously have now been deleted, and it is good to do that, especially when you are going to start a new job, so that no variables or calculations remain, which could lead to confusion. And so I will start with the first operation. The first operation would be a normal addition. 2, press 2 plus 4 and then the enter key, and it gives me the result just like that. If I wanted to multiply this 6, I can select the 6. I do not have to repeat it again. I say 6, press enter, and it takes that 6 and brings it down. And now I say 6 times 9, and it gives me 54. Now I want to find the square root of 54. It is not always necessary to do this, but just to give you an example of everything that can be done. I press the second key and the square root key, and it asks me what number you want to use. I want to get the square root of 54. I press enter and then enter again. And that would be the square root of, it is an inexact root, which is why it wrote 3 square root of 6. If I press this again, there is an option here that allows me, with the arrow, this arrow right here. If you do not want it to stay in root form, 3 square root of 6, you press this key with an arrow pointing to the right and it gives you the number in decimals. If I go back, I press the arrow, it gives me the number as a root. If I press the arrow to the right, this one here, I get the number in decimals. I'm going to clear the memory with clear, this option I have here, and now the memory is clear, so I can perform another calculation. Let us do, for example, multiplying a negative number. I press the negative number key, which is this one, minus 6 times 8. This number will end up being negative times positive, so it will be negative, minus 48. And I am going to take that number again so you can see that you can apply. It's minus 48 divided. I'm going to divide it by 4, but I'll make the 4 negative as well. Divided by minus 4. That should result in a positive, of course. And the answer is 12. That's another one of the calculations you can do. The other thing, I'm going to clear the screen again so that there are no numbers visible. How do I add fractions? Well, there's a way, which would be to press this key that says n over d, this one right here, and it gives you the numerator. You put 2, go down here, and it says 3 2/3, and with this right arrow, I'm going to add 3/5 to it. I press my fraction key again, 3 over 5, and I tap to the right and press enter. And now I have 19/15. Let me try and see if I press the right arrow. If it gives me a decimal, 1.26. That is to say that you can have the answer both as a fraction and as a decimal. If I want to go back to the fraction, I press 19/15. It's the same as 1.26. Another operation that's common is finding square roots of numbers. I press second, square root, and then I'm going to put 49. I know that the square root of 49 is 7, and there's the answer, which would be another of the most frequent operations. If I wanted to, perhaps then write a number that is maybe the mixed fraction. I'm going to clear the screen for a moment. I'm going to try a mixed fraction. I press second and this key right here, that's for writing a mixed fraction. And here I think I got an error. It seems I didn't press it right. I'm going to go back and say second. I don't know why this one isn't coming up. The 7 is coming up again for some reason, and honestly, I'm not really sure why. I'm going to go back again and start over with another operation that might be hopefully more successful. Simpler. I'm going to repeat the operation again. I'm going to write a mixed fraction. To do that, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to write the number first. I'm going to do it another way. 6, which is my number, and then I press the n over d. And now the mixed fraction looks nice because I got 2 over 3. And now I say I want to add another mixed fraction to this number. First, I press the number that I want in front of the mixed fraction, 8. Then I press the button labeled n over d, this one right here, n over d. It looks like I did it wrong, so I'm just going to repeat it again. I can simply press the delete key, which is this key right here, to erase, right? And then it would be plus 8 if I wanted to do that. Now, to add another number, once again, which in this case is this other mixed fraction, we can enter 8, and supposedly it should let me do that if I press the second button and then this one. Okay, now it's correct. It seems like I didn't press the number correctly before. 2 over 3. And then I press this right arrow to exit the denominator, and I press enter. And that sum gives me 46/3. If I want to see it in decimal, it gives me 15.33 by pressing this arrow here. Or if I want to go back to the previous value, 46/3. Now what I want is for that number, 46/3, to be expressed as a mixed fraction, because that's actually an improper fraction. So I press the second button, and then I press this key right here, which is the one that converts the improper fraction into a mixed fraction. Let's see if that's what happens. 15 1/3. That character looks a bit strange there. I repeat, I press second and this key here, and that key allows me to convert the improper into a mixed fraction. I'm going to repeat it again because I know this can be useful when doing any calculation. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit more on the screen so it looks better. For example, now I want to add two simple fractions. I say n over d, I press that, I put the numerator first and the denominator below, which would be, I'll make up a denominator 9. 8/9, I press this right key to exit from there and put the sign I want. I'm going to put a subtraction now. 8/9 minus, I'll keep it simple, I'll do minus 2/3. I press this key again to get the fraction and I enter 2, then I use this arrow to go down to the denominator. I move back to the right, exit the denominator, and then I press enter. And that gives me 2/9 for that difference. If I want to see what it would be in decimals, I press this key on the right and it tells me 2/9 is 0.22. And that is the answer. Now I'm going to add or subtract. It's the same thing, it's the same operation. A mixed fraction. I'm going to clear this screen and I'm going to write a mixed number. How do you write it? 5 first. And then I press the fraction key, which is this one. Oh, excuse me. Let me see. 5. Second. Second and the fraction. What does second and the fraction mean? That it's going to consider the number in front. That is the number that appears in the fraction as the whole number. And now I write my fraction 2 over 7. I press the right key to exit from there. I put the plus sign and now I'm going to add another fraction. It could be an addition, it could be a multiplication. That is, the plus sign is just an example, but it could be division, etc. I'm going to put another whole number, which would be 7. I press second and my decimal, and I say 3 is the numerator. For the denominator, I'll put 8. I press the right key and hit enter, and it gives me 709 over 56. If I want to see what that is in decimal, I press this key here, and it tells me that in decimal it's 12.66. But I can also express that. I'm gonna go back so it gives me the fraction in fraction form again. What I'm gonna do now is express that fraction, which is an improper fraction, as a mixed fraction. How am I going to achieve that? Well, I'll proceed to do the following. I select the fraction first, I'm going to select it, and now I press second, and this key here converts the improper fraction into a mixed fraction. I press that, some slightly strange characters appear there, and I hit enter. 12 and 37 over 56 would be the equivalent to that mixed fraction. And that's how you can perform different operations. If I want to raise a number to an exponent x, for example 10 raised, this is the exponent key to the 6. I press enter and that's the answer. It gives me a value of 10 million, right? Yes. 1 million. 1 million would be 10 to the 6. That would be the answer. But I can also do it with any number. 3 raised to, now, let me find a small number squared. Everyone knows that's 9. 9. Or I can say 5 raised to 3 is 125. And that's how I can do different operations. Likewise, I can add 5 raised to 3. I hit the arrow, plus or times or divided. I'm going to divide so it's not all multiplication. 2 raised to the square, and I press enter, and there 31.25 would be the answer. A 5 cubed divided by 2 squared. That is to say, there are many ways to do these operations. For example, another way to find the square root would be to raise it. I actually want to find the cube root of the number that I have. Let me see, out of 27, I can say 27 raised, let me press this, which is actually the decimal, excuse me, I mean it's the fraction key, then I say 1 over 3, that would be the cube root of 27. If I remember correctly, it would be 3. Let's see if that's true. 3 is the cube root of 27, meaning that you can raise any number to any exponent and it calculates it too. You can raise it to a whole number or a fraction or a decimal, it doesn't matter. But you could also calculate the root of any number. For example, let me try that same calculation but with the root here. Let me try this. I would say second root. And then it tells me this is to calculate, it seems the root of 27 is 3. That would be another way to calculate the root of the number. Anyway, the main goal of this video is for you to get familiar with using the calculator so you can feel comfortable and confident when working with it. This one right here is for the decimal point, 2.3 e times 3.7, and that allows you to perform that calculation, and you could then convert it into a fraction or a decimal and so on. You can also do the following: minus 8 times 4, this should be negative, it should give minus 32, and there are different options depending on the calculation you're asked for. These are some of the operations. Not everything that appears on the calculator is necessary to use, because in your case you don't have to calculate cosine, sine or tangent. So far you have no need for that, but the rest of the basic calculations like multiplication, division, fractions, decimals, you can use the calculator to perform them. Essentially, the second key activates everything that is above in green. Everything you see in green on the keys is activated with this second key. If you don't press it, then what's active is what's in the white lettering. Like, those are the functions and operations that are active. And well, the numbers you already know: division, multiplication, subtraction, addition. This is to calculate the result. And this is to change from one type of result to another, like from fraction to decimals, from decimals to fraction. When it gives you a root, you can calculate the decimal, and so on. Well, that's it for my presentation on using this calculator. I really hope that you find it useful. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask me, and I could then add some other operation or feature that I haven't mentioned yet in this short video I've made. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you again later.